Welcome everyone to the Nook. I'm your host, Antigua. With me, like always, is Noah Bailey. So, last week we looked back at all of the amazing and, some not as amazing superhero stuff that came out last year. So, this time we're going to be looking forward at all of just the things that we're excited for this year. Every year we make a list of the most anticipated things of the following year. It could be video games, movies, shows, real life events, just whatever we're anticipating and excited for. We're gonna, put it in a list. Um, but this year, I wanted to start off by shaking it up just a little bit and look back one more time and just see what we were excited for last year. We did this video, about a year ago, and just see if our anticipations were warranted. So I have both of our top 10 lists here. I'm just going to go through them and just briefly say if they lived up to your expectations. I'm going to start with your top 10.
Okay.
Your number 10 was Kung Fu Panda 4.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever see that movie?
I don't think I did. I genuinely, I think that came out at the same time something else did, and I just forgot about it.
It came out a week or two after Dune.
That's
So
probably why. I think I was just, oh, dang.
yeah.
Now I feel bad. Oh man, I gotta watch it now out of respect. That's so messed up. Okay.
Dune was
I heard it
higher,
was
so
not as good as the
at
others,
least
but
the thing
still
you were
pretty good.
anticipating more, you watched over it. It worked out, I guess. Your number 9 was Echo.
Okay. Yeah,
Fine.
I mean, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't on either of our top 10 favorite comic book things of last year, but it wasn't. It was just barely out of my top 10.
Yeah, it wasn't
It's
like
fine.
that far off. Like I had it, and then I was like, oh well, like it was close.
Yeah, I also specifically didn't put it on my list because it released the day we recorded that episode. So I was like, I'm not anticipating it because I'm just going to watch it that night. So I wasn't
Right, 'cause it all dropped the same.
yeah,
Yeah.
I already, I think I already even seen the first episode. Or it was coming out then. So generally when I make these lists, my anticipation is lower for things that are coming out sooner, weirdly enough. So that's why it was just off of my list entirely. Your number 8 was Inside Out 2, movie
Nice.
I know you saw, I know you liked, and it made $1.5 billion.
So it was very good. It was really good. Like it did everything I liked about the first movie, and then did a lot of other things I liked better. I really, I remember saying, I hope that now that she's older, they add some, new emotion or everything. I mean, I originally said puberty, but I mean, anxiety makes a lot of sense among some other things. So they did it really well, and I liked it a lot. I'm kind of excited to see if they go another one, which knowing how much money it made, they definitely will.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, somehow, I mean, it's warranted, but somehow this movie has become the highest grossing animated project of all time. So
didn't see that come. Not bad for number 8, right?
absolutely not. Your number 7 was the Avatar show. We were very cautiously optimistic for it.
Yeah, I mean, again, we kind of always say, is live action really, it's the same thing with the Lion King, all this stuff. It's like, is live action really going to help something that's done very, very well in animation?
No.
And it's like,
it did not.
No, but they're doing it anyway because money. And it's like, well, let's see. And then it was okay. I mean, it wasn't terrible. There were some things that I actually liked that it did. There were some things I didn't like that it did. And honestly, I kind of felt like this is fine, but I wish they did more or didn't do this kind of throughout, which, isn't fair, but I mean,
Yeah. And we had a 2+ hour video of us reviewing it and, overall ending on it's fine. It's not offensive, but it's fine.
I've seen worse.
The original is right there next to it on Netflix, so it's not like that's going anywhere, not replacing it. Okay. Your number 6 was Demon Slayer Season 4. 3?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Whatever newest season of Demon Slayer.
Yeah, no, I got lost for a second. Yeah. I mean, again, it wasn't a bad season. It was the most filler of seasons until the last episode. The last episode was really intense and is setting up the movie or movies that will be coming out, which is very peak. But we will see that. But yeah, I mean, it's the weakest season, but that's not really fair because they don't really do anything. It's just a training season. So it's literally a training arc. It's even called it. So it's whatever.
All right. What about My Hero Season 7?
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Pretty intense. A lot of new characters. Well, some new ones, some that showed up for a little bit and then got immediately whiffed. But then it's pretty intense. There's another season coming that's, I believe, the end of this year potentially. But yeah, it's going really well. It's picked up a lot. It's very quickly become one of my favorite shows. So just any new season of it, I'm a big fan of for the most part.
Yeah. Number 4 for you was Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
That turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
Probably at least top 3 best movie I watched last year. Easily.
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah. Especially seeing it in theaters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely made use of that full theater, surround sound, IMAX, all the things.
Your number 3 was Deadpool 3, which we didn't even have a name for at that point, but
yeah,
again, definitely warranted a top 3 spot for how excited we were for it.
Yeah, no, got exactly what we wanted and so much more.
Yeah, ended up being our collective second favorite comic book thing of last year. So yeah, your number 2 was Invincible Season 2 Part 2, which turned out to be not. It was as good as those 4 episodes could probably end up being, but it was only 4 episodes, so yeah.
It was fine, but again, I personally wanted more, but it is what it is, you know. I mean, it's gone well, but when you throw a break in like that or stuff, you just kind of throws you off. But it is what it is.
Yeah. And you're number 1. At the time, you were still delusional about the fact that you thought Beyond the Spider-Verse was still coming out last year.
I was delusional. Hey, at the time, it wasn't a crazy thought.
I mean, they said they was delayed indefinitely and never actually said 2024 at that point.
I didn't think, and
would have been nice.
Because again, think about it. Okay, at the time, because this was like what, December last year. So at the time, yes, it had been like delayed, but it's like they had told us before that they had worked on both parts around the same time, and we had got the first one, and it was like, okay, well, the second one's like 90%. You would think, they're gonna tweak some things, maybe change a design here or there. It'll be fine. And then of course it's not, and we're still waiting, and we still have no idea if this movie's coming out at this point, which makes me sad. But
still at least a year and a half away.
But somehow. What happened?
I don't know.
I don't was it a lie? Did they not have any of it? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I just it makes me sad because it feels like the price of getting good stuff is so high because it's like, oh yeah, this is great. I'll see you again in 5 years or something.
Okay.
It's like,
yeah.
But whenever it comes out,
it'll be at least one of the most anticipated things of the year. It does finally come out.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is number 1 on whatever year it eventually comes out. Which, at this rate, who knows? Sure. But
next summer will be great.
I didn't put it on my list this year. I'll put it that way because I'm not holding out hope that hard, unfortunately. But we'll see.
Was there anything that, now that the year's over, you regret not putting on your list from
Penguin?
Yeah.
I thought about it. I was like, I don't think I put that on my list last year.
Yeah.
Well, I was still convinced, why do we need I think I still had the Venom mind space of what's the point of doing a series or a movie or something about a villain without the hero in it, really. And I guess we didn't know Batman was gonna be in it, but it was kind of assumed there wasn't really going to be Batman in it, and it was kind of like, while obviously I really liked the movie at the time, I was kind of like, I don't know, man. I've never been like, man, I really think the Penguin needs a show. But I was wrong. It was really good, and they brought in a lot of elements I really liked. The characters were really good. That just how it was shot, the acting, like just top notch. And I'm like, I'm happy that I can be wrong, because again, if I'm not wrong, then like, man, that's rough. Right. I don't have too much to look forward to. I mean, I'm sure there's things this year on my list that I am like, this is going to be great, and it might be bad, but there are things I probably don't even have that are going to be the best thing that happens. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, because on my list, my number 10 was the Penguin. And it seems like every single year there's one or two things that are very low on our list that end up being super high, like in 22. Yep. We both said we weren't really feeling the Batman, and wow, were we wrong?
But again, at the time,
the trailers looked fine. Like, I don't know, they didn't grab us how we thought. And
then, within the first scene with the lake showing Gotham, and I'm like, yep, sold.
Yep, absolutely.
Take my money.
My number 9 was the fact that we were finally going to get more information about Superman, specifically the new costume.
Yep.
And I still need to actually see it in action. I like, in theory, a lot of it. I like the long cape, the symbol on the back, the shorts, the weird
trunks.
Yes, but the weird lines on his shoulders, the way it comes up on his collar. I've grown more on the collar, but it just I don't love it. I like the symbol fine enough, but I don't know, there's some parts that he got really right and some parts that might grow on me over time, but I'm not completely sold on right now. But regardless, he has trunks. That's all I cared about at the time. That's what we got. Cool.
I mean, it's the little thing. I mean, I'm definitely still hesitant on the top half of his torso and the costume, because I don't love I definitely don't like the shoulder pad, plate, whatever they are. The collar's not really growing on me either, and it's kind of but it still looks like Superman. It still looks good. Like you said, it has the logo on the cape, which I always love. It has the trunks. And again, I remember we saw that first image and we were like, wait, is that the color? What's wrong with it? And I was like, okay, it's fine. The color's perfectly fine. It's just, I don't know. Again, I don't know why that was the first visual of it to look not at all. Maybe that was the point. Maybe it's to throw people off, but yeah, it looks, I mean, for the most part, it looks good. And more importantly, we know now the trailer has come out, and that has made us feel better as well. Yes, so, absolutely. That matters more.
Yeah. My number 8 was Avatar. As said, it was what it was. So, my number 7 was The Boys Season 4. Another one I was excited for, but ended up being fine. Good, but not as good as season 3. But I am excited for future Boys stuff because of stuff it was filler to set up. Yeah. My number 6 was Pokemon. Because DLC for Scarlet and Violet had just come out in late 23, and every year there's some big Pokemon presentation in February. So I didn't know what was coming out that year. It turns out nothing came out. We did get a trailer, or we did get a short announcement for a new game that's coming out this year, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. But but just the concept of Pokemon is still very exciting to me, so it's always going to be on these kinds of lists.
How it's just Pokemon.
In a very similar vein, my number 5 was new Nintendo console. It's we're gonna hear something about it this year, right? And we kind of did. They said we'll hear more about it by next March. It's okay, something, I guess.
Okay. It's crazy too, because you can't even say anything. You're kind of just okay, fine. We'll wait, I guess, because what choice do we have? But
yeah. My number 4 was Deadpool 3. 3 was Invincible. Number 2 was Dune Part 2, and then number 1 was Hades 2, a sequel to one of my favorite games of all time. That game technically came out in early access back in like May of last year. Which is crazy because Supergiant knows how to make games now. Like, they've made a Hades game before. You can just, like, release it. You don't need to wait a year to tweak it. Just release it. If you want to tweak it later, patch it. It's like, I don't care. I don't know why it's still in early access. But again, I'll talk more about that game later. But I wanted to play it last year, but whenever it comes out, it's gonna be good.
I know you need this game. I know you love talking about this game, and like yes. I have other friends who are like, "Yeah, it's one of the best games I've ever played." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Absolutely. A couple of things that I regret not putting on my list. The Fallout show was incredible.
Oh yeah.
Even if you're not a fan of Fallout at all, like it's I think you would like it. The Transformers 1 movie. It's not my fault because those trailers were garbage.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, those were some of the worst. Because again, I thought that movie was gonna be terrible for like children and even for kids. I was like, don't see that.
No, but if you ever get the chance to watch it, if it ever comes out off of Paramount onto something you have, I highly recommend watching it. I think you would, even someone who doesn't really like, not a huge fan of Transformers, I still think you would enjoy it. Okay. I think that was like all the major things from. Oh well, we didn't know about Marvel Rivals yet. That was released within the year, but if I had known about it, I should have put it on this list. But I should have just always been anticipating a Marvel. Marvel over.
I mean, this year you could just put Marvel game, like you know what I mean? Just like you just. I feel like that's the thing. I feel like half of it's just gonna be like we could get because again, a lot happens in a year. I mean, nowadays a game can be like released, announced, released, and everything in a couple of months, and then you're just kind of like, oh, okay. So like not everything that comes out, obviously the big things are years in advance and then never come out. GTA 6, but I mean
that's not coming out this year.
That's
put it right now.
I think it's like 51 thing. It's just like, oh yeah, totally. But like, we're not really gonna.
Okay. So let's jump right over to most anticipated things of this upcoming. Well, I guess the year we're in now, 2025. Starting off with your number 10.
My number 10, I have that Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show that comes out at the end of this month. So again. It's one of those things where Spider-Man shows are very, like, for me, are very hit or miss. And it's very evident pretty early on which of the two it's going to be for me. And from what I've seen so far, again, no, it doesn't. I'm not like yep, I'm in. But I'm not like nope, I'm out either. I'm very like, I'm going to have to see a couple episodes and see where this goes. But... we'll see. I mean, I want it to be good. I want to enjoy it. I do like when a good Spider-Man TV show is on, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm nervous about the art style. I think how they utilize the kind of CG-ness of it will really make or break it for a lot of people because a lot of people don't really love the art direction of something like What If, which it's a little off-putting, and this I feel is like even more. I'm not gonna say bad looking, but from what I've seen of it, I could easily see someone like not immediately loving this art design. However, as compared to something as if it were 2D, or even something that's closer to 2D, like X-Men 97, which I don't know, is that hand drawn animation or is it CG?
I believe it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, something more like that where it's very clearly
the animation is definitely gonna get something to get used to because it kind of feels like how Spider-Verse felt the first time you saw it. You were just kind of like, oh, that's gonna need some adjusting for my eyeballs. Yeah. So again, that could just be, we're just not adjusted to the style. Because, I mean, this is the most, looks like a comic book moving. It looks like almost like, do you remember how they would have those, flip books? And they would just go back and they would have, a person running or on a bike or something. It looks like that, almost. It's like, oh, man, this is going to be interesting. But, it could be, it's innovative. It could be great or, could not be. We'll see. But...
we'll see. Yeah, coming out later this month, so we don't have that long to wait in order to find out the answers. My number 10 is a movie that I thought was coming out last year, but never had a hard release date. But I'm pretty sure it's coming out this February. Looney Tunes: The Day the Earth Blew Up.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a Looney Tunes movie. I believe it stars Daffy and Porky. It's about these aliens invading, and they have to deal with that. It's just with everything going on over there at Warner Brothers, it's just very reassuring to know that new Looney Tunes projects are allowed to exist and get theatrical releases, especially after that whole debacle with that Coyote movie getting canceled. So I really hope this movie comes out, does well, and either allows them to, if not actually make and release that Coyote versus Acme movie. If this movie does well enough, I hope they're able to then create more Looney Tunes projects going forward.
Yeah, because I feel like, I don't know, it's been a while since, I obviously, I say this with air quotes, I'm an adult, but but it's been a while since I really noticed any Looney Tunes anything in a while, so... I kind of also want this. I'm kind of rooting for this to do well. So, people, one, a new generation exposed to Looney Tunes is always a good thing. And also, two, I think, if these kind of things can get greenlit or can work more often, I'm for it.
Yes. Okay. You're number 9.
Okay. So, number 9, I've got Thunderbolts. There's a lot of superhero stuff coming out this year. This one, I'm not as excited about as some of the other properties and especially Marvel and other superhero stuff in general coming out this year, but it's something I'm still kind of like, this could be good. And I know it has potential. There's a lot of characters. Some I'm really excited to see again. Some I'm kind of like, we'll see. Yeah. But, I think this has a lot of potential to be a lot of fun. Again, could be one of those just cool action, turn your brain off movies. Could be maybe a more interesting, deeper story than you might realize. I'm not really sure, but honestly, I'm here for the ride. I feel like, we kind of took not the year off, but definitely one of the more chill MCU years in a long time. So, we're kind of, I know we're kicking off with some other stuff earlier this year, but we've got quite a bit coming through the pipeline. So this is one of the ones I'm excited about as well.
Yeah. Absolutely, because last year the only real MCU stuff we got was Deadpool and Wolverine and then Agatha.
That wasn't really Agatha, Echo a little bit, but not really.
What If is kind of barely in the MCU, but I didn't watch it.
I don't even I don't know. It's one of those things too. It's What If feels like they had ideas and then picked the most boring ones, and it's kind of like.
What if this person fought this person and that's the episode? I don't care.
Yeah, well, it's or some of them are just kind of oh, what if this person just did this instead and had this all weird lifestyle? And it's just kind of okay, that's fine, but I want to see, I don't know, I want to see something cool. I feel What If is one of those things that you're comic books. Just go to Marvel and be hey, what's the coolest Elseworld, craziest, just pick random stuff and just go for it. You know what I mean? I feel it shouldn't be, I feel I understand that it's the MCU, so you kind of have to make it with MCU stuff, but I feel you could also just kind of, you could loosely use MCU people and then just make a story or something that's really interesting in the comics, but I don't know.
What if the original 6 Avengers were a different group of Avengers? What if the other half got snapped? There's so many things that just were obvious.
That was the other half getting snapped was like, obviously, I understand, like, you know, the whole Chadwick Boseman thing, but like outside of that, I feel like that's like the easiest one.
Yeah,
like that like that's the most obvious one. Like I think and people who don't even like comic books would have thought about that. Like that's really easy. Like
yeah,
I want to see what, you know, the other half would do, especially since the other half would probably have a much harder time dealing with it because you don't have well, I guess you have Wanda still, but I mean, other than you don't really have Thor, you don't have Hulk, you don't have, you know, Tony Stark. I don't know if you have anyone who's smart enough to figure out time travel.
You would have all the Ant-Man people. You would have Shuri. Yeah, you would have Wanda who can literally rewrite reality if she wanted to. Like there are certain things you could
make it work. It's just like the not even considering that or not even entertaining that. I mean, that should have been one of the first episodes of What If, because I mean that's just too. I mean, that's just too obvious. Like, how do you not? But you know, hey.
Yeah, but regardless, for the Thunderbolts, it's like just barely didn't get on my list because the stakes aren't as high for this to be a good movie. Like, I think it has actually, from the trailers and everything that seems to be going on with it, it has a pretty good chance of being good. But if it's bad, it's not as big of a deal as opposed to something like Fantastic Four, which is much higher on my list, where it's like, if that's bad, we have a problem. But also, it's Fantastic Four, it's the movie's time to shine. This franchise hasn't been super hot ever in movies, so like, you know, you want this to be really good, so you're anticipating it, and then, you know, hopefully it's good. But Thunderbolts, it could be Guardians level, it could also be, you know, Ant-Man level. There's really,
I mean, and it could be lower than Ant-Man, because again, Ant-Man's not bad. Like, it's just not as interesting. But like, again, the bottom is not Ant-Man. We got to remember the floor is like, I mean, there's Eternals level. Like, we can always go lower.
I liked Eternals.
I mean, okay.
It was messy. It was very messy, but I did enjoy it. But it's,
I don't know. We can go. It can always be worse.
It is one of those movies where like people on Twitter only ever show like 3 clips, and it's the intro where there's like all of them teaming up against those monsters, and then fighting Icarus. So at the very beginning, the very end, you don't show anything from the middle. Like, stuff. There's a 2.5 hour movie that you're just not showing.
That's the thing. It's a long movie where nothing happens for 90% of the movie, and it's like,
stuff that does happen doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, and then like the whole ending, and it's just like, oh yeah, there's just this giant celestial just in there. Yeah, we're just gonna sit on that for how many years has it been now? I mean, I don't even
going on 4.
I don't even know. Yeah, so. But anyway, regardless, you know, Thunderbolts could be good.
Yeah, my number 9 is a different MCU movie, Captain America: The Brave New World.
Okay, yeah.
This movie, of all the MCU movies to come out this year, I think this movie has the biggest chance of being an absolute dumpster fire. Because it's gone through several reshoots. It has. You know, I think the Falcon and Winter Soldier show is fine. I think it fell apart at the very end. Like, its theming wasn't very strong for what they were leading towards. And this movie has a lot of the same writers attached to it. So, like, even if the movie is good, like, I don't know if they're going to stick the landing. I'm, like, not that I doubt Anthony Mackie. Could not think of like, it's not Hopkins. I know it's not Hopkins. Anthony. Not that I, don't doubt he's going to do a good job. He's been with Marvel for over 12 years now.
Yeah, he's been
doing this character. He's played this Captain America before. I don't know if this movie will really feel like a Captain America movie because there's a lot of Hulk stuff going on. Like, the leader and Red Hulk are going to be main antagonists. I also, like, not to like get into it too much, but I fear that this movie is going to kind of miss the mark with its messaging in the same way that Falcon and Winter Soldier kind of did. Like that movie, that show, it was trying to say a lot of things, and then, like I said, at the end, it just kind of fell apart and didn't like really get the message across that I felt like it should have. And then I don't know. There's just a couple of things in the trailer that make me a little worried about what it's trying to say necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does suck, especially because I know that was a really big issue with the whole Captain America Winter Soldier. Like, it very felt like, hey, what's the, what are we trying to tell us here? And also, like,
right. Like,
is that what we're saying in the last episode is the message? Has that been consistent with the whole show? Because it doesn't feel like it. It kind of feel like that was changed at the last minute and you forgot to tell the first half of your show. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I guess if it follows that trajectory, then yes, I'm also very worried about it. But from what I have seen in the trailers, while yes, it does feel not necessarily focused on Captain America, it does seem to look like I think the action's gonna be a lot better. Yeah. Because I think one of the biggest issues I had with a lot of the action scenes felt like not lame, but like really. You know what I mean? Especially like with like, oh, Sam has the shield now. Gets stopped by a chair. You're like, oh, come on. Like that's like I mean that's dumb. Like you know what I mean? So hopefully we can figure this out and they kind of pick it up a little bit. But yeah, I can see your concern, definitely.
Yeah, but it does. I think it has opportunity to tell its own story with a new Captain America, and that could end up actually being really good. I'm just a little wary of it. I'm more anticipating the reaction to the movie. I'm just wondering, even if I watch it, end up actually liking it, I'm curious what other people are gonna think. Hoping it's good. I hope everyone likes it. Hope it's at least an unquestionable, at least a 7. That's what. Yeah,
just a solid movie.
Yeah, because sometimes a lot of reshoots can end up making for a better product. Sometimes it can make it. Sometimes you can watch a movie and be like, "Oh, there was a weird edit here, or this was clearly added. This was ADR." Like Falcon Winter Soldier, that show had a lot of ADR because an entire subplot was cut out entirely.
Yep.
Like something about everyone coming back all at once in these tightly condensed areas led to some new pandemic, and because we were in the middle of a pandemic, they for some reason felt they needed to cut that, and then what's the point of
during the COVID times? I kind of get it because it was kind of a sore subject because especially how things were handled. But I mean,
I don't know. I just hope this movie does what it wants to do as effectively as it can. Yeah, and hopefully people react to that majority positively. So
yeah, we'll see. It comes out in 2 months, or 1 month, I guess.
Month and a half, yeah.
Yeah, month and a half. It's like mid-February, right?
Like I think it's Valentine's Day next month.
Yeah, I think that is right. So yeah, I guess we'll find out. Hopefully it's good. I'm sure we'll talk about it, plenty when it does. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right.
My number 8. I have Zootopia 2.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Again, I know this just happened, but this feels exactly like how Inside Out 2 felt. Like, oh yeah, I liked this first movie that came out almost 10 years ago. I think it did really well, had an interesting concept. I hope they do it again. And then that
same year too, 2016. It just
exactly it's like right around the same amount of time.
15, whatever, like within like 6 months of each other. Like
like very, very colorful, very like just seems like the kind of movie to just pop off out of nowhere. And I really hope it does, because again, this is I love this world. There's a lot of interesting concepts. There's good jokes they can use with it. But again, you don't have to overcomplicate the mess. You can make it a simple message and it's different enough because you put it in this world that it works.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as they kind of do that, kind of continue to make it interesting, I'm really excited to see where this goes. But
yeah,
I'm hyped for this movie. This is something I definitely want to see in theaters.
Yeah, I have no reason to think it'll be bad at this point. I am a little concerned about about the possibility of it doing super well at the box office, because the first one somehow made $1 billion and released in March of 2016. And I don't know what other movies came out that year, especially since the trailers for it were terrible. So I'm surprised that it was able to gain that much traction.
It was like the holdover movie before Civil War, if I remember. So
yes, yeah, it came
why.
out like a week before BVS or something like that. And I guess people wanted to see that over BVS.
I mean, I was probably one of those people.
And I just feel like this movie feels more like a spring or summer movie, just unless they specifically give it more of a winter vibe. I'm a little afraid of it coming out in November, on top of it coming out the same day as Wicked Part 2 and Now You See Me 3. Like, that's gonna be a lot of competition like that Thanksgiving weekend. It could be like it was last year, where Moana 2, Wicked, and Gladiator all did really well that same weekend. Like, that could just happen again.
Somehow, that's so rare. I mean, I get like Gladiator and Moana don't have the same target audience, but it's like maybe like a whole family went, like half went to one movie, half went to the other, and kind of like you still get that revenue, but
because Wicked Part 2 is absolutely going to make a ton of money, because Wicked is making a ton of money. You have to see the second one you saw the first one.
Yeah, it's Wicked.
Now You See Me 3 is a little more niche, but people have been anticipating that movie for almost 10 years. When did the second one come out? Like 2014?
Since that first one, yeah.
It's been a while, yeah. Maybe 16.
I think it's 15. Let me see. Official check.
The first one I think was 2012.
13.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 13, 16, and now 25. So it's been a hot minute.
Yeah, 9 years. So yeah, of those two, I think Zootopia would beat Now You See Me, but they essentially is competing with Wicked on the same day, and I'm a little concerned about that. But Moana 2 is somehow raking in more money than I ever thought it would make, so Zootopia 2 might also.
I can see it.
Yeah. I still haven't heard anyone actually say anything about Moana 2. I haven't heard any of the songs.
That's kind of my thing too.
Who's watching this?
This movie's making so much money. It's the number one this. I'm like, I don't think I know anyone who actually saw this movie. And again, that's not like a diss on the movie, but it's like, okay, I guess this movie's good. I mean, I don't know anyone who has seen it, but I mean, I expected to go see it just because I expected everyone to want to go see it, and no one ever said anything, so I'm kind of like, I guess we're not watching this.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So my number 8 is The Boys Presents Gen V Season 2.
Nice.
Gen V was one of those things that I wasn't really following the Boys stuff until 2022, and then my roommate and I just binged the entire series. I was out at that point. And then very shortly after we were done, I saw an ad for Gen V. I was like, oh, that's a thing. That's a new thing in this universe that I just finished, and that's cool. So it came out, and I really love all of the characters. All of the powers that were introduced were very compelling, just the way they were used. One, I guess, concern about the second season is that one of the main actors passed away last year, and I'm interested in how they'll deal with that in the movie, or in the show, because they said they're not going to recast him; they're just going to write that character off.
But roll about it, yeah.
I kind of take those on a case by case basis, but I don't know. I feel I don't know. It depends on how they do it. But with what The Boys Season 4 set up, and I assume this takes place like post season 4. I think they could do a lot of interesting things with it because characters from the first season of Gen V showed up in like kind of vital moments of The Boys season 4. So
okay,
these shows kind of like ping ponging back and forth. I think could be cool to then be like, okay, now something escalate here that'll then when season 5 of The Boys comes out will like really nail this down as being something spectacular. So I have pretty high hopes for this show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Okay. Number 7, I have Solo Leveling Season 2. This anime.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen this, but
I've seen I know about the show. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a very good show. It kind of caught fire like a lot of shows have lately. Mm-hmm. People are like watching it, like, oh, this is awesome. And yeah, it is really good. I'm excited for this next season. I don't really know anything that's gonna be happening, really. Mm-hmm. I just know we're just continuing where we left off, I assume. And yeah, more of the same. Looks pretty good. I like how, it very much takes the ideas of like, a RPG game. Everyone has their roles, and it's like, yeah, we kind of just learn. Basically, our title character, as the name implies, levels up a lot better than most people. So he's just like kind of, he has like a training episode too, and now he's just like, the best, and then immediately gets wrecked by something, and then he does another whole thing, and then he comes back and then gets wrecked again. But then at the end, he kind of like finally, it's kind of like when you're playing a video game and you just keep getting wrecked by this boss, and you're like, no, I can do this, and then you finally learn his combos, and you're like, oh my gosh. And now he's unlocked the boss as a playable character. So now he has this, I think it's Necromancer is class change, so now he can like use other enemies he's defeated kind of to work with him. So I'm excited to see what that goes to, and this show's really good, so I'm excited to see it continue.
Cool. Very nice. All right, my number 7 is Invincible season 3.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm a little down on the show after everything that happened with season 2. However, the trailers for season 3 still look very good. It's one of those things where, like we said before, like, what have you done for me lately? Because the last season was a little less exciting than I was hoping for. I'm not like as excited for this show than I would like to be. But my hope is that after it's over, by come next year, this season will be like in the top 3 of favorite things of last year. So that's my hope. And I think from the trailer, especially with no break, things seem to be escalating in a very natural way. Like I think it could get to season 1 levels of hype, or even episode 4 of season 2 level hype. And if it gets there and stays there, then it easily could be very good. But I'm going to be cautiously optimistic as of right now.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And I think too, it's very much like, yeah, what have you done for me lately? But also, it's hard to look at it that way sometimes too, because it's like, well, is that necessarily fair? Different kinds of shows, it's like, is it things outside of the writing that's holding it back potentially? Like, yada yada. But also, hey man, like at the end of the day, you've got 16 episodes and one short, or like one like special, and like that's it. And we've been doing this for a while, so. Yeah, but again, I also like the trailers a lot. I think it looks really good, and from what I've heard, especially when he gets the costume change, I think it's the black and blue. So apparently, that's when stuff goes crazy. Apparently, so I'm in.
Yeah, like I've seen some people say that like in this costume he gets some of his biggest wins and also most devastating losses. So I'm like, Yep, well, that's what we like to see. Like him get the crappy out of them, and then also win every now and then. So
yeah, I mean, works for me, man. I'm all for it.
Yeah. All right. Your number 6.
So my number 6. Yep, we're on 6. So my number 6, Captain America.
Okay.
Or Brave New World. So yeah, I'm excited about it. again, I think it's a good way to kind of kick off all the Marvel stuff we have coming this year. And I think it's going to do a good job of kind of, I know the MCU has been very all over the place, like a lot the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And my hope is with this movie kind of addressing current affairs in the world, I am hopeful that this will kind of put us like on a, I guess, explain the current state of where we're at with life essentially in, on the MCU, because, last we saw, kind of what was going on with like regular people was like what, like Secret Invasion, and that was a whole thing. So
that show didn't happen. I just don't
yeah, that's
feel
kind of what
like,
I mean. And
unless
like
they
that's kind of
explicitly reference it in this movie, that show didn't happen because it wasn't referenced at all in the Marvels, which was the continuation of what happened. Like, what should have been the continuation. So I hope they reference it. I hope they make it
we'll
matter,
see.
but who knows?
We will see. But essentially, yeah, we don't really know what's going on for like regular people essentially in the MCU right now. So we're kind of like, okay, hopefully this will kind of shed some light on that. Also, I think Red Hulk looks good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I did not expect Harrison Ford as a Red Hulk to look good. I was wrong. And I'm kind of excited to see how this goes. I really think that I think this can be one of those movies that even if the story's kind of either A, not that strong, or B, a little, clustered in some wrong places, I think if the action really holds up, I think it'll be fine. And that's kind of what I'm banking on. But again, we will see. But yeah, I have a positive mind. I mean, my opinion might change after it drops, and then I'm like, yeah, never mind, I was wrong. But we'll see. I'm excited to see.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I said, we only have to wait a month and a half in order to actually learn
Right.
if it's good or not. So hopefully it is.
Find out.
Yeah. My number 6 is Fantastic Four.
Oh, that's my 5. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. Oh wait, are we on 6? Are we?
Yeah, my 6.
My 6, my 5. Yeah. I can. Sorry, I can't.
Cool. Yeah, like I said before, there is a lot riding on this movie. But so far the casting has been, I think, very, very good. The little sneak peeks we've gotten of it seem like the style, like the costuming, just the like time period it's set in is an interesting choice, but I think it works for these characters. I just really hope it's good because we haven't had a good Fantastic Four movie forever, like literally ever. The best one is the one from 2005, which is not very good. And also, I assume there's going to be some kind of post-credit scene introducing the MCU's Doom, and there's obviously a lot of emotions around that. So there's a lot going on with this movie that if it nails everything, it could end up being one of the better MCU movies, but it could just be it's impossible to make a good one of these, and we might just have to look at that.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I mean, you can make a really good Fantastic Four. You can't have a comic book be that successful, and it's just impossible to make it. With the amount of, like, especially in the age of comic book movies, with how much budget these movies get, you can't tell me I can't make a good Fantastic Four movie. I just don't believe it. It's very much, yes, I mean, there have been some misses, but to be fair, I mean, there were a lot of misses by, Fox during these times. So, it's kind of like, yes, Fantastic Four has been hard to pin down, but let's give it a chance. I think the MCU might have, they might be able to handle this. And again, I hope, my biggest hope is they just don't worry too much about placing it and kind of more just make the characters, make the movie interesting. Yeah. But again, we're gonna have to see. But I am hopeful this can work out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I also, I think the casting, aside from, Doom's its own thing. I'm sure that's a conversation for later, I'm sure. But I mean, I like, Pedro Pascal, the other casting, I think is going to be pretty good. I really think there is a lot of potential with this. Again, because the Fantastic Four kind of have what I'm sorry, I think I'm going to start calling it Guardians of the Galaxy syndrome, where it's like they're kind of unknowns that you can do a lot with. Because I mean, obviously, these are some of the oldest or comic book characters, but like you said, they kind of never really had a movie that really was like, yeah, that's the Fantastic Four. So you kind of have some liberties here. I'm not saying you can make Johnny the calm, laid back one and make Reed fly off the handle, but I mean, you can kind of make them lean into just more likable traits if you think it works for the movie, and I think that's something we can do here, and I think I can make it work because again, I don't think a lot of people are going to be like, I don't think that's right. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't really know the Fantastic Four that well. Because again, their best movie's 20 years old. So,
yeah, true.
Like a lot of people watching this movie weren't even alive. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's coming out within weeks of a different superhero movie that is higher up on our list. So we'll see which one ends up doing better.
We will see.
My number 5 is Andor Season 2.
Oh, yeah.
Sequel to a show that you haven't seen.
In my defense, I have nothing, but... oh, man. No,
it's really good.
I know. Everyone says that, and I totally believe them. I don't know why. I don't know. I have this thing about starting shows. It's weird. Like, I just won't start a show, and then I finally will, and I'll be like, why haven't I been watching
it? That was me with Attack on Titan. I was like, everyone and my mother tell me it's amazing. My brother finally sat me down, like, we're watching the show. We watched like 5 episodes in a row. It's like, yeah, well, the show's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, no, literally. And it's like, I know it's good. I know I'm going to like it. It's just like, it just hasn't happened yet. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I feel like I need to just be sat down and just like, you can't move until we watch at least the first 3 episodes. And then,
and legitimately, I think the only way to watch this show effectively is to watch like the first 3 in a chunk and then 1 episode from there, because the way they released it was the first 3 at one time, and that I feel that was intentional because the first 3 are very exposition heavy, very like getting to know the characters and just kind of setting you in the world of like how things are done here. And then episode 4, like the end of episode 3 into episode 4, things really kick off, and then it's just incredible from there. But if you're one of those people that just watch the first episode of a thing and aren't completely drawn in, and then just drop the show, this won't be good for you. But if you allow the show to get good, prove itself, then I think you'll like it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I think season 2, they're doing something a little different with season 2. So all of season 1, from what I understand, took place over about a year. And the show takes place approximately 5 years before the Battle of Yavin. And then season 2 will be the final season, so they have to, get from where they are right now to what happened in Rogue One. So every 3 or 4 episode arc will take place over the span of a year, and then there'll be either like it'll take place and then there'll be a jump cut to the next year. And then arc, jump cut to the next year, arc, and then the last arc will be literally like year 0 before the Battle of Yavin. Like it's right there. So I'm a little unsure of if it'll flow as well as the first season. I think the first season did do very, very good about having of setting it into specific arcs. Like it's essentially like every like 3 or 4 episodes, like it's like this. There's this one mission they're going on. Just take 3 or 4 episodes, like like Clone Wars, where every it's you can like
like little mini arcs within the show.
Yeah, so functionally, I hope it's the same, just the time passing between arcs is a little longer, and I think that could work.
Okay.
So if they can make that feel seamless, then I have no reason to feel like it won't be at least really good, you know? Yeah, especially now that we have a lot of the stuff established, we can jump right into stuff. We don't have to wait 2.5 episodes in order for things to actually get going.
Yeah, it's like you don't have, there's no real, I mean, I'm not saying there's no exposition, but like, yeah, you're more set up, going into this, going into the season, who the characters are. We don't need to go over that. Just kind of like, all right, let's pick up where we left off. Let's make more great television. And that everyone likes that. Yeah. Just keep doing what you're doing, essentially. No notes.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if there's a hard release date for that, but it's later this year, so you got time.
It's some point this year. Let's see.
Number 4.
Oh, so I accidentally started with 11 for some reason because I didn't move down my honorable mentions, but because I just realized I still have 5 to go, and I was kind of like, yeah,
okay, do 2 in a row. Go do 2 in a row.
Yeah, let's go. We'll just pretend that Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man just was an honorable mention. My bad. So my number 5 again is Invincible, which we have talked about. I think it's just, I'm really excited because again, I've heard from a lot of people and just like, and people online and things like that. Like, this is the season where everything, this is where it gets good because, I mean, it's been good. Well, let's not be. And I guess the biggest thing I'm on with this show too, with trying to give it props is like, you got to remember, like, yes, during the point of the show, and yes, while the going on, the breaks, the gaps in production, this and that, and oh, it's taken forever. What have you done for me lately? But at the end of the day, when the show's over, no one's gonna like stop for 2 years between seasons. Like you're just gonna watch the show as a whole, in context, all together. And you have to remember that like everything we've seen has been great. I mean, yes, the second season, how it ended, in my opinion, wasn't as monumental as the first. But to be fair, the first season was really, 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 really good. So it's kind of like the show is a great show. Yes, it's having issues outside of the actual show that's produced, but like in a vacuum, it's a great show. And it is I believe it'll continue to be that, if not even better than it's been so far. So you gotta give it props for that. I feel like it's done really well. The voice acting is superb. It's, it really good fight scenes, choreography, respect. I mean, it does a really good job of doing super powered fighting, if that makes sense. Like, I like how different characters fight very differently, but also they use their powers well in their fighting. Like, I mean, there's so many moments that are cool when you have Shrinking Ray, like, jump behind somebody and then shrink her arm to choke them. Or, like, like, you like things that are just smart, or just like, oh, I would never thought. Like, you can tell they really, like, are going all out for this show. And I understand there's been some issues, but the show's done really well. I'm still really excited for this season. And yeah, no break. So like, this should be really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I really hope it is good. I really hope that it makes it to the, at least top 3 of favorite things of last year, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and do your number 4.
Oh, right. 4. Okay, so my 4, I have My Hero season 8. This is supposed to be the final season, which makes me sad, but also, we're on season 8. I get it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, the show's really done well. It's come a long way since. It's kind of weird because, like, you start watching older episodes waiting, and then you're like, wow, a lot has changed. I forgot how much I used to hate this character. Or, oh, man, I forgot how, I just forgot that this person wasn't, kind of felt entirely different when the show started than they are now, It's like, so it's really good to see. I really like, I just like the show's concept. Again, obviously we love superheroes. Superhero anime is like just a great idea. I love it so much. I'm not going to go too way into it because I mean, I know you haven't seen it, but you should definitely watch. Oh, it's great. You would love it. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I'm excited to see how it all wraps up, but I'm also kind of sad for it to wrap up because I really once it's over, and I don't know. It's like once it's gone, it's like man, I know I'm not gonna feel like watching all 100 and whatever episodes. So, but really good show.
Absolutely. Okay, my number 4 is my most anticipated movie of this year. That being Superman.
Oh,
yeah.
4?
Look, you'll understand.
Okay.
4, 3, 2, and 1 were honestly really close together.
Okay.
But 4 is my most anticipated movie of the year. Is my most anticipated. Is like easily a top 3 most anticipated superhero thing in the near future behind Batman and Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Like, I have absolutely zero doubts, especially after everything I've seen in Creature Commandos, that James Gunn will absolutely knock this out of the park. Like, with anybody that doubts that it'll be good, haven't seen Guardians 3. You like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 might be my favorite MCU movie. Like, it is at least a top 5 easily. And he's also very good about doing different tones. Like, even within those Guardians movie, like, yes, they are very jokey and quippy, but they do have a soul. They do have very serious moments. Like, Guardians 3 can get rough at times. But also, like, the heart of that movie is about saving one person. That is the entire purpose of that movie, is to save one friend. And just, I think, extrapolate that into Superman feeling like he needs to save the world from whatever, even if it's just one person at a time. I think James Gunn will absolutely nail that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I know it's higher on your list, but that's
okay. No, that's okay. Yeah. I apologize. I don't mean to come off.
No, that's
like, I mean, it's on the list. That's what matters.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Number 3. Top 3.
Okay. So my number 3, I've got Daredevil coming back.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh,
I never watched the show. I just know.
Really?
Yeah, I never watched it. I do plan to watch at least, like, I do plan to binge it before the new season.
No, you definitely should. No, yeah. I'm really excited about this for 2 reasons. One, they did. I mean, the show, the original Netflix show is really good. Like, it's really good. It's great acting. There's really good action and cinematography. Man, I can't even talk. I'm so excited. But, like, it's just like, it's really done well. It's one of those things where, like, it just makes a character even cooler than it was. Like, I always thought Daredevil was kind of cool, but kind of weird. Daredevil's so cool now. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And really, the biggest thing that makes me, honestly, Deadpool and Wolverine, and how basically we're like, oh man, now that this is kind of in the MCU, is like, are they gonna kind of take the reins and force us to be something else? And they did not.
No.
And I kind of feel in the same way. We're just gonna just do that again with Daredevil, just on Disney Plus this time. And I'm really excited about that because, again, it doesn't feel like they're gonna hold anything back or change anything. I mean, you know what I mean? So I feel like there's a really good chance that we just get more of what was really good. And I'm really hopeful for that. I really think it's been done well. I think it's really interesting. I think it's written really well. I know Kingpin's kind of had some other appearances that have not been as up to what you would expect or would kind of want. But again, I feel like you got Daredevil, you just bring it here and you say, hey, you guys made something great. Please continue to make that with us. And I think that's what they're going to do. And that makes me excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also have kind of made peace with Kingpin getting the crap beat out of him every time he's shown up so far, because I made peace with that because that's kind of what comic book media does. Like, for example, whenever the Joker shows up in, like, for example, the Batman cartoon from 2006, whatever, like, even though he always gets beaten, every time he shows up, it's still a big deal. Same with Magneto, same with Dr. Doom. Like, every time he shows up in any comic or show or whatever, it's still a big deal that he's there, but they still find a way to beat him by the end of the episode. Like, Kingpin still has this presence to him in the episodes that he's in of the other shows, but because he's a designated bad guy, they have to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be no different from, when Daredevil's taking him on. Like, it's still a big deal that Kingpin is around. Even though we saw the other characters beat him, this is now Daredevil's turn to go up against him. Like, I think, given the right context, I think it'll work.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be successful. It's just going to... We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, my number 3 is Pokemon Legends ZA.
Okay, yeah.
This was the one new piece of Pokemon content we got last year. It was a very short trailer, released last February. Usually, whenever the Pokemon Company announces the new game, we usually get the trailer for it in February, and then like May or June, we get another trailer or new full-on Pokemon Direct with new information, character, new Pokemon, new stuff about it. This time, they've been radio silent for an entire year. The only thing we know about it it's coming out in 2025. Mega Evolutions is coming back, and it's set in the past in the Gen 6 region of Kalos, but essentially you're and set in the time period where you're essentially going to be helping create the big hub city of those Gen 6 games.
Okay.
And I've talked to my brother about it recently, and just the idea of, so let me back up just a second. The Pokemon Legends Arceus game did a very good job of making catching Pokemon feel really rewarding. Not only were there a bunch of different ways to do it, there are a bunch of different balls that made it so you can catch them from far away, you can catch flying Pokemon easier, Pokeballs that are really heavy, but they don't go as far, but they have a higher catch rate, or you could just battle them and then catch them at the end like normal. But also, there's a lot of trainers that ask you to catch a certain number of Pokemon. There's a lot of trainers that are like, hey, can you catch this Pokemon so we can do a thing for me? And then you bring the Pokemon to them and they do whatever, and just because they made catching Pokemon so rewarding, which the catching part of Pokemon has never been my thing. I've definitely been more of a battler and trainer. Mm-hmm. I usually catch my 6, and then those are the 6 I play the rest of the game.
That's how I am too.
Yeah. So since you are essentially on this part of this group that's building this massive city, I imagine there's going to be a lot of side quests to in order to help the construction, you got to hey, catch me 6 Machamp or Machoke, I guess. Machoke, so they can, help lift this thing, or we need a fire type for whatever reason. We need a water type to put out this fire. There's going to be various things that cause the player to have to go out, catch things, and then come back and help visually progress the world on top of just, the main story. And I think there's a lot of very fun things they could do with that, on top of just the inherent anticipation of hoping for brand new Mega Evolutions, which is something that they haven't had new ones since 2014 with Omega Ruby After Sapphire, and it's something that every single Pokemon fan absolutely adores as absolutely their best gimmick that they've done. It just helps older Pokemon, gives older Pokemon the ability to, to still be relevant. Lets them use older Pokemon in newer ways. Just allow for, even if you're not going to have that many new Pokemon in this game, you can still have these new cool forms of Pokemon that, you can still feel new. So there's a lot to be excited for. Just the fact that we haven't heard anything about it is a little disappointing, but also kind of exciting because they haven't ever done that before, and that clearly shows that they are taking their time. It's definitely going to be interesting how, the next time we hear about this game will be at the Pokemon Presents following the previous time we heard about it. So like the next big game that you're anticipating at this presentation is gonna be one you already know about, but like this is gonna be the big blowout and hopefully come out, second half of this year when it's fully polished and ready. Ideally it's a cross port to Switch 2, but regardless, I think with how good Legends Arceus was, as long as they just up the frame rate a little bit and just make an overall more stable experience and just set it in a different region with new mechanics, I think it could be very, very good. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand. I know. I mean, especially being Mega Evolutions back too. I know you've really wanted that for a long time. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Number 2.
Number 2. Okay. So my number 2, I have the Demon Slayer, the first of the Infinity Castle trilogy movies coming out this year. Man, when I tell you, bro, like the hype is for me is like it's like again, like this last season was a very like chills, a lull, we're training, we're getting better. And then the last episode out of nowhere every you just get dropped in the it's like you're just doing your thing grinding and then you just get dropped in the final boss dungeon just no warning, and it literally ends with everyone literally falling into basically the final boss dungeon, and it's kind of like, oh, I'm in danger, but like it's really exciting. Like I'm really hyped to see it. Like I know it's gonna be awesome. Demon Slayer has done. They did the Mugen Train movie was a really really good anime movie, so I really feel like they know what they're gonna do with here. I know 3 movies is a lot, I feel like, but I'm really excited to see how this first one goes. I think it's gonna be really well. The battles are gonna be legendary. I'm sure everyone's gonna die. It's gonna be heartbreaking. I'm so excited. Like I'm really hyped to see how this goes.
Nice, very nice. Is it going to be like one a year for the next 3 years?
I don't think it's officially been said. I would assume so, but I don't think it's officially been said. But I would assume so, yes.
Yeah. Do you know if they're going to do a thing like they did with Mugen Train, where at like a couple of months after that movie came out, they released the movie in like 6-ish parts on Crunchyroll?
Probably. They'll probably do both. Like, because I know right now with Mugen Train, they have like the whole movie and then like episode versions of it. So they'll probably do both. But I think it'd probably be episodes first. I'm not exactly sure how they want to do that. But yeah, it would release on Crunchyroll probably by the end of the year. Maybe, depending. I don't know. Sometimes it's weird. But no, I'm really excited about how they do this. The music. I mean, everything about the show is just really hyped. So I'm really hyped for it.
And I fully agree with the decision to turn these into movies, because Mugen Train, like when watching this movie, my brother and I came to the collective agreement of like, this is what Ufotable deserves. Like, they make some of the most beautiful animation on television. And then when given an actual movie budget, mind blowing.
Like, dude, like
no shortcuts. Like all the budget they could possibly need, just make it as good as it could possibly look. Like, yes.
And the thing too is like, I know people give a lot of crap to Demon Slayer because like, oh, you released the next episodes of your season as a movie, like, which is dumb. But again, kind of like you're saying, but when you get to see it in literal cinema quality, you're kind of like, oh man, this is really nice.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, like there's no need for those filler parts. There's no need for like, lower budget moments in order to make the higher budget moments possible. Like, it can all be good. So
yeah,
very good.
I'm really excited for this.
Yeah. Okay, my number 2 is finally getting Hades 2 out of early access. They haven't officially said they will be, but Hades 1 was in early access for about a year and a half, so by December, it should be out, right? Right?
Probably. I hope so. Most likely. I mean, they know, especially knowing how excited people are for this game. I think they'll definitely, if not sooner, it should be available.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been avoiding everything from this game. It's been kind of hard. It's been now for over 6 months now. My brother, he's been like watching analysis of stuff. He hasn't actually been able to play it yet. It's a thing where I could play it. It's in early access on Steam. I could just play it now, but I want to play the full experience when it's comes to console and is ready to actually be played by everybody. And until then, I'm just gonna wait and soak it all up when it finally comes out. So hopefully before December, but at least by December, please. Okay. Before we get to our number ones, do you have any other honorable mentions?
So yeah, I had obviously Friendly Neighbor Spider-Man. The remainder of Creature Commandos, because
I think there's one episode left.
Dude, I mean, it's good, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah.
And we got I like how soon we saw, you're like, oh yeah, it's good. And then the next episode, oh my god, Batman! You know what I mean?
Look, it's Batman.
Yeah, which granted, it was not. I mean, it was half a second max, but I mean, it's still cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
And also just I mean, the show's done really well. I have GTA 6 ? Because
yeah.
I'm probably not. I mean, I'm not really. Grand Theft Auto, I don't really play that often. I'm more for the memes, if anything. Mm-hmm. So that'll be exciting. Now You See Me 3. I really like these movies because I'm just a fan of stuff like Matt, like sleight of hand, card trick stuff. Anyway, so seeing that. How they do in the movie. And I think they do a good job of doing it. I'm really interested in seeing how that goes. So that also, those are my main.
Okay. I have a couple here. Reacher season 3, another Amazon Prime show that my roommate and I got into recently. There's just something very, very cool about this next season. I don't know how much you've seen of Reacher, but they always emphasize just how big Jack Reacher is.
He is a big dude.
In the book, he's 6'8", but Alan Ritchson's only 6'5", but he's as big as any human should be.
He's only 6'5", 260, lean, which is the most ridiculous thing ever. I mean, the guy looks insane.
Yeah, but the villain of this upcoming season is a guy from the books who is said to be 7'2" and twice his size and twice as heavy. And they got a guy who was 7'1", and in the trailer he clearly is towering over
7'1". Oh my! They got Shaq that. That's insane.
I didn't know they made you. Now they made him.
Oh my! That's what I'm saying. I'm imagine being as big as Reacher, and then somebody is bigger.
Yeah.
And you're just oh no.
And I think Reacher season 2, I think, kind of jumped the shark a little bit with basically making Reacher a superhero. Yeah. Have you seen season 2?
I haven't seen all of it. I got I got a couple episodes in. But you can go ahead.
There's a moment where they're chasing a guy, and he gets into his car, and Reacher runs out of the house and sees them driving away, and he looks over and sees a grill, a regular grill that usually, even if it's on wheels, it takes effort to move. He sees it, and then it cuts to the guy driving, and the grill just slams onto the hood of his car. Richard chucked it. That's something only Captain America should be able to do.
Wait. A moving car.
Yep.
No.
He did that thing to a moving target.
That's not possible. That's not possible.
Reacher did it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if the car was backing out and he threw it, that's one thing. If he's already going, no way.
No. So yeah, like it jumped the shark a little bit at that point, but I'm kind of also kind of here for it. So I'm curious to see how season 3 goes.
Fair enough.
Yeah. The Thunderbolts, as mentioned. This next one, I'm curious just to see what it is. That being the Suits LA reboot.
Oh yeah,
with Stephen Amell, who I'm like not the biggest fan of. Acting like
outside of Arrow, I'm kind of like I don't know, man. But I mean,
like it's a show with only some of the same writers, without any of the same characters outside like maybe a couple of cameos. But as we saw from the end of Suits, whenever Mike came back, those moments didn't feel that good because you knew he only came back just so he could then lose because Harvey was now the main character.
And also too, like, I mean, I feel like a lot of this is just, this show did really well on Netflix recently. Let's, I don't know, do it again, I guess. And it's just kind of like, I feel like it didn't work because of like legal drama. Like I feel like it worked because of the chemistry and the characters and like how they were written. But like if you're making new characters that don't interact with the old ones, and the only reason the show is even the same show is a name, I'm skeptical. I know shows like CSI and do stuff like that, but I mean, again, this is not that kind of like this is not that big.
Yeah, but those shows like they're almost like kind of written to be that way. It's like like this season of the show is called CSI Los Angeles or whatever. The next one is CSI Chicago or I don't know those are the real names, but like that's just kind of like how the show is written. This is the sequel series to a show that ended 6 years ago, and they're only making this now as a reaction to people liking the first 4 seasons of the original show on Netflix.
Exactly.
And from every single, like, whenever I see YouTube shorts or like other videos from later seasons, every single person in the comments is like, "Wow, the show wasn't as good as it was when
when Mike first left several the show seasons ended." Which, like, yeah, but I mean, still,
yeah. So, and part of the problem was all the new characters they kept adding just didn't feel good. Like Samantha was absolutely terrible. Robert Zane, the way they wrote his character is as if he didn't want to be there anymore.
It's weird because Robert Zane was a great character until they made him a main character. Yeah, it was a lot worse. And then it's like,
the other guy, what was his name? Williams. What was his name?
I forgot his action. I know his real name. I don't remember his.
Yeah, you know him. Yeah. Yeah, came in like season 7, and I just didn't feel like he meshed with other people. So what I'm getting at is with this show essentially being all new characters is going to be like, not only do you have to sell me on the point of this show existing, you have to sell me on these new characters. So and then the trailer for the show just used the original theme song from Suits, which I thought was a little pandery.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're literally just trying to like cash grab interest. Like it's gonna have like 2 episodes. Like whatever episode has they're gonna have one of the first episodes is gonna have a Harvey cameo or something. Mm-hmm. That episode's gonna do the best by a mile, and the rest of the episodes are just not gonna do that great.
Yep, like maybe we'll get, if it's, let's say it's 12 episodes. I don't know how many episodes. Let's say it's 12 episodes. We're gonna get through 6 episodes, and then like at the either end of episode 6, beginning of episode 7, Harvey will come in, and that'll be the rest of the arc. Will be trying to beat Harvey, and they have to beat Harvey because now Stephen Amell's the main character, even though Harvey's the best at what he does. So, but
plot armor.
Yeah. So I'm more curious about what it'll look like, not really watching it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Next up, something I'm actually surprised wasn't even on your list. New Phineas and Ferb episodes are scheduled for this year.
Oh my, that's right, dude! I forgot that was happening. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, there's no hard release date, so it might get delayed out, but that is, scheduled to come out at some point soon.
That's instantly like a top 5 thing I completely forgot about. To be honest.
So yeah, Spider-Man definitely not in your top 10 anymore.
Yeah, no, not now. Spider-Man's like 14 now.
Thunderbolts.
No, I didn't even realize. I forgot about. I love Phineas and Ferb.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot that's happening.
Yeah. So hopefully it's just the same as it was.
Yeah, I feel like there's no reason why it won't be.
Yeah. And lastly, another game that'll be early access is Slay the Spire 2. So, Slay the Spire is a roguelike game from 2017 that got really big when it dropped on. It was like the PlayStation free month of a game, PlayStation Plus free month of a game in like 2022, and then also came to Game Pass last year, and it just absolutely blew up. Maybe it was 23, but like recently, a lot of people got to play it for free, and it absolutely blew up. That's how I played it. And it's just one of the most addicting games I've ever played. Like, like my brother, he got into it first, and he was like, "You should play it." It's like, okay. So my roommate had it on his PlayStation for free, so I booted it up, and I started playing with one character, and I didn't really get very far. Like the basic premise of the game is like you have like this deck of cards that each card either does a unit of damage, either gives you like a guard, or does like some other thing that'll help you beat the enemy. And then as you beat enemies, you're given new cards, and then you kind of like progress like kind of through this dungeon. Eventually, collecting new cards, collecting runes and stuff that either give you extra damage or lets you attack multiple times, like just help you progress, and then finally beat the boss. And there's 4 dungeons, and then eventually you probably won't win, but hopefully you win. And then if you lose, you have to start all over. But after I lost with the first character, you unlock a new character, and I like that character a lot. I like another character. Well, I like that character even more. And with that character, I got really far. It's like, oh no, I think I could do it next time. And next time took 2 weeks. And then, just I probably like played that game at least 4 hours a day for like a month straight. At least 4 hours a day. Like, it's one of those games where you sit down, you eat, let's say it's a Saturday, you eat lunch at like 12 o'clock, you're done, it's 1 o'clock. You sit down and play that game, and before you know it, it is very dark outside. Like, I've been here for over 5 hours. I'm like, what happened? Where are they going? I'm having fun the whole time.
What day is it? It's 4 a.m. Like,
yeah. So I'm very happy that, because so many people actually got to experience it, even though it's, over 7 years old, the developers are still together and able to, to make a sequel for it. And I just know in my soul that this game and Hades 2 will come out on the same day, and then you won't like the person that become when that happens. Just have a feeling that's going to happen. I hope both games do well if it does, but like, I would play Hades 2 first, but man, Slay the Spire 2 is, I think, also going to be very good. So, yeah. All right. You're a number 1.
It's Superman. So, yeah, I mean, listen, we've talked about this today, podcast before this, the one before that, every podcast, everyone. I mean, it's Superman. Like, I'm really hyped for this.
Yes.
I am excited. I love that James Gunn is going to make Superman the way Superman's supposed to be. He is hopeful. He helps people. He is a beacon. He is the reason people believe in things. He's awesome. He looks good. It's exciting. I like the casting. I'm more excited about the directing. It looks like a great comic book movie, and I'm excited.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like, just because he is the beacon of hope doesn't mean that he can't go through hardship, and like, that's fine. but it doesn't have to be depressing. Like you feel like my main issue with Man of Steel is that whenever things were going bad, it like just the way the lighting was, the way everything felt, it really felt you didn't feel like Superman was gonna get out of it. And then the way the movie ended, it ended on a downer moment of him having to kill somebody he did not need to kill. And I really hope this movie doesn't do that.
Yeah, and it's like it won't. You know what I mean? It's like they're not going to. They know what Superman's supposed to be. They know how to do Superman, and again, they're going to. I'm excited. It's gonna be good. I mean, Superman's, as I've said this a couple times, but as I've gotten older, Superman has become my favorite character. Although I still love me some Batman.
Yeah,
but
it's like
I know.
You're a traitor.
I'm there. I like both DC and Marvel. I am. That those things can't both happen.
Right.
But I mean, it's just really exciting because again, like, I mean, one of the reasons I really liked My Adventures with Superman is because it was the first time in forever Superman actually felt like Superman, and now we're getting that on the big screen with a big budget. People who get the character, like I'm really excited about it. And again, I know, but there's a lot of characters in it, and and like, yeah, but like, hey, Superman looks good. I'm here for it. Let's do it.
James Gunn's movies always have ensemble casts. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'm excited for it. It's kind of like like you said, Creature Commandos has shown me that this is going to be good. You know what I mean? James Gunn knows how to write. Like, this is going to be good. Yeah. I'm ready. I'm here for it.
Absolutely. Okay, well, my number one most anticipated thing of this year is this year we're finally getting the Nintendo Switch 2. It is getting announced within the next 90 days. Unless something horrible happens, it is coming out this year. Everything points to it coming out this year. There's already been a ton of leaks. We basically already know what it looks like. We basically already know what the specs are going to be. It's functionally going to be as powerful as the PlayStation 4 Pro, but in a handheld. And as far as Nintendo is concerned, I think that's good enough because a lot of developers are still making games for PS4. And I think with the PS4 Pro, that's a good enough gap where, like, it can still get at least a good amount of third-party games from current gen and on the Switch 2 as well. But also, it'll just allow Nintendo to make games that look incredible because the Switch currently, its power level is like, it's not like 1-to-1 because it's newer tech technically, but like the power itself is like about halfway between a PS3 and a PS4. And then this system will be way stronger than a PS4. Basically essentially halfway between PS4 and 5, which as far as like that, like for how good something like Tears of the Kingdom looks, yeah, the game's gonna look good. Maybe Pokemon will finally look good for once. Who knows?
Shots fired.
And like, obviously with the new system comes a whole bunch of new games. Like I'm anticipating a new 3D Mario. I'm anticipating at least an announcement of a new Mario Kart. Whatever other new IPs and just fun things they want to throw out there. Yeah, it's just time for Nintendo to finally, because it's been 8 years. Like I like the Switch a lot, but like I'm very much ready for their next thing. Even if their next thing is just the thing you have, but a little bigger and much better.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want. I don't need crazy gimmicks. I don't need like smell-o-vision or motion control or whatever new weird gimmick. I've seen things. I've seen people conceptualize things and like, here's like, no. It's just straight up controller in your hand. The system will look, games will look better and run better on the system you have. You'll be able to play Mario in true HD, maybe even 4K with some kind of upscaling if you have a 4K television. But like, yeah,
I'm
excited.
I bet you are. I mean, I am too. I don't know if I would get one right away just because I just got, well, I didn't just get but I've had it for not as long as you have, but
yeah.
No, I mean, it's time. I know we've been talking about Switch 2 for a hot minute, so it's definitely time.
Yeah, like ideally it'll be $400. I don't think Nintendo's going to go higher than that. But if it is, more, I'll obviously pay that. But like, ideally, I think 400 is a sweet spot, especially with other, handheld console hybrids like the Steam Deck, the Asus ROG Ally, and I think Legion has one also that are like they're actually pretty expensive. So if Nintendo can come in at 400 along with a bunch of fantastic first party games, at least in like a launch window, riding off the hype that people still have for the Switch, I think it'll be a home run. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else you want to bring up or talk about before we sign off today?
Not really. I mean, I'm excited for the new year. There's a lot going on. Stuff I forgot was happening is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, 2025. Again, I kind of said this, I think I said this last week, but I feel like, 2024 was kind of not an off year, but like had less. So that, and then this year feels like it's definitely going to have more. So really excited about that.
Yes, absolutely. And then, a year from now, we'll come back and see if any of these turned out to be any good. So, okay, let us know down below what you're excited for. Do you think any things we listed here will be better or worse than we think, or anything we just forgot about? Leave that down below. And with that, we will see you all next time.
Take care.